Hello, I am Lara Cox, and welcome to the Hypnosis Diaries. And this week, I am going to be talking about stop smoking. And the purpose of these diaries is really to promote what I do as a hypnotherapist, but also just generally to promote hypnosis, which is still massively misunderstood and also underused. So yeah, stop smoking. Now, I didn't really do stop smoking when I first started. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is I found it quite scary because when with some things with hypnotherapy, with some improvements you're making when you're changing your life, it's either you can make improvements that are less or more, so you're more confident, you're less confident. Well, obviously you wouldn't try and be less confident, but you're more of something. With anxiety, you can turn it down, you can turn it up. But with smoking, it's on or off. You know very quickly if you've been successful with smoking because the client stops smoking immediately after your session. It can be quite intimidating when you first started. It certainly put me off, and that was one reason. And the other reason, perhaps more important, is that I was still having the occasional fag myself. Particularly, if I ever had a fight with my husband, that would be when I go out, I'd have a quick fag, I'd buy a packet of fags, and I'd be out there smoking. Fuck you, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kill myself slowly and painfully, and that will really serve you right. Ha ha ha. So yeah, that's what I would do, and that doesn't really help you when you're talking to a client for similar things. Well, it made me feel like a hypocrite. So that's really why I didn't want to do sessions with clients to stop smoking. So yes, so it's weird, isn't it? How many different triggers you have for smoking, and most people I speak to, there's different reasons that they'll have tried to stop many times, and there'll always be some reason that something, and it's normally stress, isn't it, that makes people start smoking. And it's normally stress, like it could be something bad's happened, or like in my case, a fight with a loved one. For a lot of people it's boredom. Some people it helps you concentrate, or it makes you think it helps you concentrate. Same as people think it helps you relieve stress, but logically we know that it's not really a stress reliever. Sometimes just getting away from the situation helps you feel less stressed, and that is true, but it's not the fag. It's the going outside for a fag. It's getting away from the desk, getting away from the arsehole. That relieves the stress. It's not actually the fag. But we come to associate that relief with the stress and the inhalation, which is obviously more oxygen to it relieving the stress. Anyway, you know how smoking works. People don't ever come to stop smoking because they don't understand what it's doing badly for them, but also they understand really a lot about their habit. They just know that they can't stop. And this particular person who I worked with recently was it wasn't actually smoking that they wanted help for. It was to stop vaping, and I'm having more and more inquiries with stop vaping. Well, yeah, to stop vaping, and I've never actually vaped myself. Not that that matters. It's the same thing, really, isn't it? You're doing something, a habit that you want to stop. So even though I didn't have any particular connection with vaping, I do get putting something into your mouth and inhaling because it makes you feel better. So yeah, but it first of all, it presented itself to me as a difficulty, as a challenge, because it's not something I could personally connect to, and I know that may sound stupid because I can't personally connect to all the problems I deal with, but I just quite enjoy it when I do. It makes it just a bit more easy for me, and I quite like things being easy in that way, because then I just know I can access all my intuition. It feels more readily. Anyway, what was I going to say? I've completely lost my track. Oh yeah, it was about vaping. Anyway, so that presented itself as an obstacle to me, that it wasn't smoking, not enough to put me off, but it just felt a bit different. The other thing that felt like a challenge was the person didn't smoke a lot. They actually only smoked whenever they were drinking, which again was the same with me. So I'd have a smoke when I was upset or angry, or when I was drinking socially with friends that smoked. And actually, there's not too many of them left anymore. But this person only smoked when they were drunk, or when they were drinking, rather than when they were drunk. So the way that I approached this was this, and I don't know if this is right. In fact, I'm guessing it might really not be. It might even not be particularly ethical. But this is what I did. I suggested that they have a couple of drinks before a session. We were doing it online anyway. So, well, why don't you just recreate the atmosphere that you have when you're about to smoke. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because when you're in hypnosis, you work with the part of that person that is responsible for the habit. So there's no point working with a person that's, just logically saying, well, I want to stop smoking, when that the next day they're going to wake up and it's the part of them that thinks, I don't want to stop. Part of me wants to stop, but another part of me thinks, fuck it, I'm going to smoke now, because if I don't, I'm going to kill someone. That's the part we need to speak to. No point in speaking to the other logical part who gives up every 5 minutes. You need to speak to the part that doesn't give up, the part that keeps starting again. So that was my thinking, but obviously it's a bit limited, isn't it? Because I don't help people with heavy drug addictions, but if you were to have to be restricted by that method, I basically say, right, well, I'll help you with your heroin addiction, provided you shoot up before the session, which is obviously not going to happen. It's not ethical at all, or it's just no point. So I don't know why I did this, but it felt like on this situation that it might be good, and thankfully it worked really well. So that's why I'm talking about it today. But yeah, so in terms of the actual session, what I used a couple of things, a couple of my own tools, my own hypnosis. I'm going to say protocol. So protocol is just a fancy word for saying the method that I use, the tools that I used. I have used lots of other amazing hypnotists' stuff. In the past, I was using a lot of Cole Smith's stuff. I just find his work really simplified for me, which was perfect when I first started out. I've really liked the unpretentious style that he offers, so I use it. Most of my stuff is based on stuff that he's demonstrated on YouTube. I used more recently Freddie Jacquin. I also went to Ken Guzzo. I have used Mike Mandel's sort of like stuff in the past. You'd only be remotely interested in this if you're a hypnotherapist anyway, but just thought I should put out some of the names of the people that I've I've taken their stuff from, which I'm allowed to do, not stolen, but yeah, I've used their stuff. Should I say Freddie Jacquin? Because recently I found his whole hour stop smoking session, and I've used that as well. But I do like using my own stuff, and I like using my own stuff because I feel confident when I use it. I know that I'm doing it right, and there's no one to say, "Oh, that you're doing that shit," because it's mine. And yeah, so that's why, and I can tell it the way that I want it, and it feels natural to me. So that's why. So I come up with a couple of things that feel good to me. And the first tool that I use is called the Bluebeard Protocol. Well, I've called it. It's not called the Bluebeard. I've called it the Bluebeard Protocol, and it's actually based on a child's nursery rhyme. A child's fairy tale. And I was reading a fairy tale of my youngest daughter, who was, she must have been 6 or 7 at the time. But anyway, and the fairy tale is, if you don't know the story of Bluebeard, and I hadn't known it until I read it with my daughter, is about a man with a big black beard. So I don't know why it's called Bluebeard. I'm sure there's a black beard, but please don't let that put you off, men with beards. Anyway, he's got a big beard, and he gets married to a virgin bride. Obviously, she's a virgin bride. It's very, very important. And he goes away. And leaving her on her own. And he says, listen, I'm going to go away, but, enjoy yourself in the house. You've got the whole house to yourself, and go wherever you like. Go into the kitchen, go into the lounge, do whatever you want. But if you go down that corridor, you'll notice a room at the end of that corridor, and it's got a key, it's got a lock, it's locked. So whatever you do, just don't go into that locked room. Okay, don't go in there. And that's what he told her. Off he goes, and obviously she has a great time on her own in the house, that virgin bride. She goes into every room, and then obviously it gets to the point that her curiosity can't take anymore. But perhaps she even imagines something calling to her, possibly. I can't remember parts of it anyway. But anyway, she goes down to the corridor, and she sees the room with the lock in it. And of course, she unlocks the door, and she opens the door, and in that door, behind that door, she finds the bodies of lots of dead women. Can you believe that this is actually a child's fairy tale? It's true. So lots of dead women who are obviously all his ex-wives, and I can't really remember what happens after that. I don't think you really need to know how it ends. I'm sure it all ends happily ever after on some level. But anyway, that's all the bit that I need for my protocol. So in this stop smoking hypnosis protocol, I can obviously find out what the worst people fears are for the client. So obviously it's personal for everyone, but I will find some things that really scare them, some really scary eventualities that they will have to face should they stop smoking. And I put those things behind the doors of their unconscious mind, and it's very powerful. It is a form of aversion therapy, and that might not be for everyone. In fact, I think it was. I probably shouldn't quote someone's attitude. What they're saying right here is just in case I get it wrong. But anyway, it is a form of aversion therapy. But I use lots of different things, but that's one of them, and it's been very powerful. The other thing I use is another thing that I've made up called the albatross, and the albatross is something else that's based, inspired rather, on a poem, The Ancient Mariner by Stephen Coleridge. And that's the writer in me, isn't it? Really, just being inspired by literature that I read. But the poem, I'm going to go massive off tangent. I don't, so I'm not going to. But yeah, the poem, and I'm not going to bore you with the details. But essentially, I get the client to remove the burden. The burden in this case is the smoking, but it can be applicable for so many things. And for myself, for self-sabotage, and I definitely did use that on myself. And I had some circumstances that made it very easy for me to do that. My dad died of cancer as well, and it wasn't that long ago. And that the two things, the albatross and my dad going, kind of enabled me to sort of, and the fact that I actually wanted to help other people stop smoking. I couldn't really do it if I was still smoking myself, in my opinion. So yeah, so that's what I did, and it's been really good. I guess I probably wouldn't be talking about it if it hadn't been. But yeah, so if you are interested in wanting to stop smoking, even if you want to just find out more, please do get in contact with me. I've got a website. You can check out reviews and you can check out more information on there. If you go to www.lchypnotherapy.com, or you can email me at lara@lchypnotherapy.com. You can leave a message on here if you like. Please, if you have found this useful, can you let me know? Can you like it? Can you, and my plan is to do an episode a week, just talking about any particular case that I've been working with, or just find interesting, or just want to share my findings. If you are thinking really critical stuff, you don't need to share. I know people say, I welcome your feedback. I really don't. I don't want to know the shit. I don't want to know the crap stuff, because believe me, I'm one of the most self-critical people that you'll like to find. So you can give me a few weeks to get in practice this, and then when you can see I've got like loads of followers, then you can say, "You're shit." But right now, nah, don't bother. Okay, so I'm only interested in feedback if it's good. All right, and if it's not, go and talk to someone else. Anyway, that's it. So yeah, so if you did listen, please let me know and like it. Thank you. I'm going to go now. So hopefully see you next week, and eventually I might even start publicizing it before I actually do it. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm quite happy that there's no one here. It reminds me of performing at the Edinburgh Festival when I did a play for one person. So comfortable territory, although it does make you feel a little bit flat because you're not really talking to anyone. If there's a couple of people, I think I'd probably be a lot more bubbly. Not that I'm bubbly, but you know what I mean. I might have a little bit more banter. Anyway, thanks for not listening, and thanks for not being there. And hopefully you will be here when you're listening to this. See you soon. Bye.